Welcome to the Grapevine, the best in edutainment. We're bringing you the very best of edutainment, like I just said, which is
entertainment,
meaning
education.
We on fire. We got it right though. We got it right.
Yeah, I just went on the other side since he went to that side.
Well, we supposed to be on both sides, right?
We're on both sides.
Yeah. So
same team.
There we go. All righty. I hope you guys have been enjoying the productions we've been doing. We're trying to bring them to you as best we can and as quickly as we can. And guys, real quick, surprise, we do have a sponsor. I don't know if you've ever eaten at Peabody's on Riverside Drive.
Good food.
Very good food. Great staff. I went over there and I sat and had a conversation with Perry. I know him from a couple of restaurants and his wife. And I asked him about the success. Why is his restaurant a success? He just established that you treat people right. That start with your employees and you take care of the good food, the quality restaurant. Then success is going to be there. And Perry, Angie, Nick, your place is great, and we welcome you aboard. So when we go to break, you're going to see Peabody's, and want you to go check them out. So, and did you know they were closed on Sundays?
I did not.
Yeah, and I asked Perry why. He said, because I used to work in restaurants. He said, I know you used to work in restaurants. What was the worst thing about working on Sundays?
Crowd.
In the fall.
Football.
There you go. There you go. If you are an employee and you know you can watch football on a Sunday and you get paid well and the place is a great place to work, you get treated well.
There you go.
There you go.
Sounds like a great place to be and a great place to eat.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it any better. Yeah. All right. We have a very, very, very special guest. You see the fourth chairs here. So we're going to be bringing somebody very special to talk with us and help educate you, entertain you. And we're going to be right back. So check out Peabody's. We'll be right back with the Grapevine.
Pride, passion, patriotism. Peabody's, the great American grill, is now open on the riverfront in Clarksville. The food is fresh, the atmosphere is fun, and our patriotism is front and center. You'll enjoy the large menu that includes hand-cut black Angus steak, hand-pulled pork, and hand-breaded fried pickles. You'll taste the difference. Also, enjoy our huge drink selection and scenic views both inside and out. We also cater, so call us for your next event. Peabody's, the great American grill on Riverside Drive in Clarksville.
Six Months to Love is based in New York City with our heroine, Charlotte. She ultimately meets our hero, John Granger, who can destroy her life or help her. She has a deep, dark secret that she's been hiding from her ex, Alex, the domestic abuse abuser that she barely survived and escaped with her life. If this secret gets out, is John at fault, she at fault, or is her best friend at fault?
We are back with the Grapevine, the best in edutainment. And guys, I told the audience we were going to have a special guest, and we have a very, very, very special guest here. This is Mr. Fletcher Long, former defense attorney, known throughout the mid-states, and we're going to find out more about him. But welcome, Grapevine audience, Mr. Fletcher Long.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here with us.
Glad to be here.
All right, y'all can shake hands. I don't reach across.
I don't
reach around and reach it. Yeah, there we go. All righty. Now, I'm not sure how many of our Grapevine viewers know who you are or know why you are a celebrity after being a celebrity in the legal world. So let's just get into it. And guys, he said that no questions off limits. So. And we are not going to set you up. This is not an ambush. We treat people fairly, impartially, and just let you tell your story. So, all righty. Right now, you have a radio show. Tell the audience the show. Give us the information. Where can they find you?
Well, the show's called The Long Version, and I get more internet listeners than I get people on the AM frequency. Of course, it's AM 1400 in Clarksville if you're in that listening area. I have a lot of listeners that tune in on WJZM.com and hit the podcast, and then they type in the search engine, The Long Version, and it goes to my archived broadcast. And I also tweet out the podcast when it goes up on the internet on my Twitter, which is at Long Version Show. I have to remember because and my Facebook is The Long Version. But you can go to Facebook, put in Fletcher Long, and get there too. I usually post each day's podcast on there, and I tweet them out because I have a lot of internet followers.
What's your show about? I'm sorry.
Well, it's the long version, basically, of national news stories of interest. Obviously, because of my background, it has a lot to do with legal cases that are ongoing, that are being nationally covered. We covered the Jamie Hood trial, the theater shooting, and I had Kathy Russin on from CourtChatter.com, and she's based out of Utah, and she's took the place of Court TV when Court TV, so she had a former analyst, and she streams from trials live, and people are able to chat online as the trial is in progression. When I called her to ask her to come on, she said, I covered you so many times over the years. What kind of person would I be if I told you no? So that's why she came on.
All right.
Cool. Two questions, and just run real quickly, and one's short and one's long.
That's the long version.
That's a long version, exactly. What time, if somebody wanted to catch your podcast if they want to catch it, as you're actually doing it
live,
what time is that?
Well, if you've got a TuneIn app, you can catch me from 9 to 11, Monday through Friday, every day, from 9 to 11.
And the next question has to do with the current topic, is the Texas, the Sandra Bland case with the police officer.
They murdered her. Yeah, they killed her. I've been in jail many times. I mean, I'm a convicted felon. I've been to the Crossbar Hotel, checked in and kept the towels,
Did you like your picture? When they took your picture, did you like it?
I've seen better. I think my third mug shot was better than the other two. I kept getting better. I think you can improve.
Yeah.
They never, my nickname as an attorney was the bow tie killer, and they never would let me wear my bow tie. That's really how people knew me. And I wore that today for that reason.
I bet people really want to know did you drop the soap?
Well, I'll tell you this. I did have to squat and cough, and nothing came out, so I'm grateful for that. I was really, if I'd have stayed in there any length of time, my plan was to pick the biggest, baddest dude there and tell him I'm a one-guy guy.
So can we talk?
Yeah. But anyway, Sandra Bland was pulled over by a white cop. She was a civil rights activist, about to be a professor at Prairie View A&M. She was pulled over for crap. She was pulled over for being black. I mean, turn signal, come on. They pulled her for and this cop just got irate that she wouldn't put her cigarette out. Well, this is America. She's an American citizen. She doesn't have to put her cigarette out. And I think he messed up when he took her into custody. And I think they realized all the litigation that they were going to buy for their department. And, they don't give you things with which to hang yourself in jail. Right. They don't give you plastic bags or shoestrings or bow ties or belts.
I was impressed that she had a trash can. I was like, I didn't know you got trash cans.
I never had a trash can in any cell to which I was assigned.
I was thinking, why is there a trash can in the cell in the first place? I'm like, I've never seen the inside of a jail cell, but all the ones I've seen on TV never had a trash can.
Well, well, I've been there, I can tell you. How does a 6-foot-tall woman hang herself from a 5-foot platform?
That was another good question, because I'm like, that's what I call commitment, because...
Well, the answer is she's got to have a bunch of white dudes helping her.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
Do you think
Sorry, I tell it kind of like
is that going to be able to be proven?
I think they've convened a commission to look into that, and I expect them to have a finding that's as legitimate as the Warren Commission's belief that there was only one shooter of Kennedy. So I think they've convened, and they've put 2 black dudes on there, and they're going to be the Uncle Toms that come out front and say it wasn't murder. And I'm black. They're going to
say, believe me.
They're going to say, look, black dude, you got to be the one that announces it, because we're going to lay down a bunch of crap here, and we know that the white folks will believe.
Is there good money in taking that position? Is there good money in taking that position?
The position I'm taking?
No, the position of being, I'll be the black guy that will go out there.
I think there's black people who believe that if they sing and dance to Whitey's tune, that they're going to profit from it. I think that Whitey's benefited from that for a long time.
Yeah. Well, they are in Texas, and I guess they don't want an accident to happen to them either.
Well, I'm going to tell you,
there's a twofold motivation.
The government makes sure that you feel a strong urge to even go against your own interest out of a feeling of patriotism. Mm-hmm. Patriotism's a wonderful thing. Patriotism can cross a line to fascism if you don't watch it. What a government needs to remain free and to remain patriotic as opposed to fascist is dissidence. somebody's got to come out and complain. There's got to be Sandra Blands out there that say, "Officer, I'm not putting out my cigarette."
Right.
We can't kill them all.
Right.
But killing one discourages 5. So,
well, there are people out there in the country you can't shut up. I'm one of them. You know, you take away my law license, I get a radio show.
Yeah.
You know, some people, there are people you just can't, they're probably going to kill me next. There are people you can't shut up. But
you heard it here first.
Exactly. If this happens, we've already got the conspiracy
Please
theory.
play this at my funeral. But the point is that you want people like me that are looking at the government and saying, you're doing this the wrong way. You guys can't do this. This isn't what democracy is about. You want people like us. Now, they systematically try to get rid of us.
Right.
But it's important for us to be out there.
You know, the question, I mean, when she came on and she said she was contemplating suicide.
That actually hurts them because she was expressing that she had before had suicidal tendency. They should have isolated her, had her somewhere where they could observe her, and they darn sure shouldn't have had anything in the cell with which she could accomplish the deed. And that's really, in my mind, that's what makes it even worse, was because they knew that she had the tendency and she had access and ready access to a platform from which she can hang herself, a bag with which she can hang herself. You actually think about it. You turn a plastic bag sideways and flash it on the news. It's well
It's
equipped.
just like a rope. I know a young lady that makes little handbags out of the Walmart bags. So you tear them apart, you twist them up enough. Yeah, they're extremely strong.
Yeah.
Now, is that a trump card for them to say, okay, well, based off of what she said?
Trump card says they hate Mexicans.
Well, the problem they have, yeah, that's
Wrong
right,
Trump.
wrong Trump.
I got you.
Yeah, I'm going to get on that dude later.
Unless you want to sponsor Donald Trump,
Yeah.
I will have you on the Grapevine at conduitconnection.com.
Donald Trump, please sue me. Okay, I'm going to get a nationally syndicated show if you just have the guts. You're kind of a wimp. If you just had the guts to sue me, I will accept service.
The gauntlet has been thrown down
You're
here.
fired.
You're fired. You're fired. But anyway, really, I forgot what your last question was.
The Trump card.
Is that a trump card for, I guess, the government to say?
I think it hurts them. I think it hurts them. First of all, you got to remember that they had custody of someone with suicidal tendencies that never should have been in custody. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Should have never been arrested.
they took custody of someone and took upon themselves an obligation now to keep her from realizing those tendencies. And she never should have been in custody in the first place. See, that breaks down to, well, you know, this is why we don't go arresting people for not putting out cigarettes. And if you do, well, then you got to live with the consequence.
Yeah. Consequences and repercussions.
We have consequences and repercussions for having a great show, and that is that people want to see our sponsors, so we'll be right back. We have a bunch of different questions. We haven't even gotten to the meat of Fletcher Long and the long version, or the Grapevine version of the long version. We'll be right back with more of the Grapevine. It's that time of year when people start thinking about going to college. Now, college and school is only going to help you if you have a plan. If you have a plan and you know you want to be a doctor, that's great. If you aren't sure of your plan and you think you just need to go to college, before you go, let's think about a plan. Let's think about what it's going to do for you. Contact us, Conduit Connections. Let us work with you to develop a plan to best make college and any further schooling work for you. The worst thing you can do is to go to school and then not have anything to do with it. So let us talk with you. Let us work with you on how college can work for you. Contact us, Conduit Connections. We're making your connections.
At GPA Web Design, we provide professional services to meet the needs of our customers. Locally owned and operated, GPA Web Design caters to the small businesses of the surrounding area and beyond. So if you're looking for a website or digital graphics, give GPA Web Design a call at 931-378-0201 or visit us on the web at gpawebdesignllc.com. That's gpawebdesignllc.com. At GPA Web Design, it's better for the buck.
We are back with the Grapevine, the best in edutainment. We are here with Mr. Fletcher Long, has a radio show every morning, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. WJZM. Please listen to him. Check out his podcast. All that information is going to be given to you. And we talked about a topic before, and I kind of want to go back to that and later in the show. But we haven't even gotten into your pedigree, why you are famous, infamous, and doing research about you. You have a bunch of people that say things about you.
Well, you know, I had Amy Watson from News Channel 5 on my show, and we talked about the fact that social media lends itself to the coward. People can go on and say ugly things about you. They can go on and say ugly things about you, oftentimes with the protection of anonymity, and really without the first credential to even have that opinion, but they can say a lot of things about you. And I rub people the wrong way. I'm a polarizing figure. You know, particularly if you were a police officer, I probably wasn't your favorite person.
Did you ever notice you were getting either pulled over or targeted about police officers, if they were maybe paying more attention to some of the things you were doing?
Oh, I think you can be pulled over for being black. I think you can be pulled over for being me. I was omnipresently aware that I didn't have the luxury of getting drunk and driving around. I didn't have the luxury of driving at a high rate of speed. I didn't have the luxury of not wearing my seatbelt. My wife refers to me as a choir boy, which is kind of funny as a convicted felon. But, you know, I really had to be ever conscious of what I was doing.
Driving while Fletcher.
Hey, but it's no different than being a black man. I mean, it really isn't. And I think that's why I identify well with black people, because I understand what it is to be targeted by the government, to be vilified by the government. You know, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. We talked about this on air today. The majority of people in the prisons by race, the vast majority are black people. There is nothing in pigmentation that makes you more likely. Pigmentation or the lack, there's nothing in that equation that makes you more likely to transgress.
Yeah.
But what it is if society has this predilection that you're more apt to transgress, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Now, being an attorney and a defense attorney, would you say that you saw more favorable outcomes for those who you represented that were white as opposed to being black?
Absolutely, particularly in decisions about amounts of bail, for instance, in federal court, and whether they were going to detain pre-trial versus holding them pre. You know, in federal court, they're really in bail. In federal court, you're charged with a crime, and then they come in and have what's called a detention hearing to determine whether or not the person accused is going to remain in custody. I don't believe I ever saw a white person that the federal probation office recommended pretrial confinement. I don't think I ever saw a black person they recommended to cut loose.
And you know, there are going to be many people that say that, oh, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just spitting these numbers out there. Or they're going to try to find some way to discredit what you're saying. However, it's impossible because you were there.
Well, I'm talking about cases in which I had direct involvement as a defense attorney. You know, I tried over 200 criminal jury trials to verdict. I don't know that there's too many attorneys who can say that. I'm obviously, now that I'm a layperson, I'm easily the most experienced trial layperson probably in the state's history. But, you know, these are, you know, I had a tremendous amount of experience trying lawsuits, and I tried lawsuits in the federal system too. One of the cases for which I was most known was the Arthur March case, and he was charged federally.
Perry March's
father, that's right.
And he was convicted of killing.
We took a deal in the case in exchange for giving what's called a 5K 1.1 sentence reduction under the federal sentencing guidelines for substantial assistance in testifying against Perry. Arthur did that because he thought Perry would go on and take the deal the government was offering if he knew that his dad was going to testify against him. Well, it didn't work out that way. Perry insisted on a trial. The deal, after Arthur had fully complied, and the U.S. Attorney had said he had fully complied, the government rescinded his deal, which if that had been a private individual doing that, everybody would have thought that that was horrible. But because it was the United States government who cheated and lied and stole his cooperation and didn't give him what they promised.
Said they were going to.
But because it's the government, I'm not waving my flag, ardently enough if I say what they did. And what they did was lie. And in my mind, the fact that they're the government doesn't make that any less wrong.
Makes it worse.
In my mind, it makes it worse, but there again.
Now, I've seen a police officer show one day. I was at work, and I just happened to catch it walking through the break room. And it was a New York detective, and he was interrogating an individual. And basically, the individual gave him his right to an attorney. And then the guy says, once he does that, he said, I can lie and say anything I want to say to get him to dictate what I want and get him to say what I need to entrap him. How was that?
Well, the United States Supreme Court says that. And I have a problem with that ruling, but the Supreme Court says that detectives in the field have to use the same artifices that are used by the criminally inclined if they're going to catch the criminal. My problem with that is the criminal goes to prison, the cop goes home. So for them to get to use the same artifices of deception, as the court called it, to me, I think government's an ideal. I think government should be the finest expression of democracy, the finest expression of freedom, the finest expression of what it is to be an American. When we allow them to act like the lowest common denominator, we have nothing to which to strive.
So basically what you're saying is when they bring those guys or gals up on the stand, they raise their right hand and they ask that question, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God? They ask that question, so I guess so that they can hold you accountable for what it is you're about to say.
Well, they're supposed to hold you accountable. Yes.
So now, the norm is they'll say I do, because you ever heard anybody say I don't?
No, I have not.
Okay, so the norm is that I'm going to say I do, which means that I'm going to comply, or I'm saying I'm going to comply. So whoever that attorney is should be under the same standard. You shouldn't be lying to me so that I can tell you the truth. You should be telling me the truth about what it is you want to hear me tell.
Well, now, an attorney's role is different. First of all, have you ever seen an attorney acting as an attorney in a court case put under oath?
No, I haven't.
Well, see, that's critical different. An attorney's role is to elicit information from a witness that benefits his client's interest. And I'm not going to tell you, I'll tell you one time, I did not have a transcript of the officer's testimony because my client couldn't afford it. But he had testified in a previous proceeding. So I took a deposition from another case, all right? And I looked at the officer and I took the paper and I said, do you recall giving me sworn testimony, officer, on July 7th of 2008? Yes, I do. And in that you said blah, blah, blah. And I just kept waving this at him. Well, all he had to do was say, no, I don't remember that. Can I see? And I was over. But see, he took it for granted that I had it. Now, was that a cheap lawyer trick? Well, it wasn't a cheap one.
But it was one.
But it was a lawyer trick. Sure it was. But all I was doing was making him tell me the truth. And using a prop to make him think it unwise to prevaricate, because I didn't have any confidence that he would do it otherwise.
All the world is a stage.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're but players. And we're going to be right back. You've been waiting and you've been wondering. Well, wait no more. Conduit Connection is launched and ready for you. At conduitconnection.com, you will see videos connecting you to education, entertainment, information, goods, and services. The list goes on and on. If you haven't seen Conduit Connection, go to it. You will see the link right above me or below me. Conduitconnection.com. We're making your connections.
Pride, passion, patriotism. Peabody's, the Great American Grill, is now open on the riverfront in Clarksville. The food is fresh, the atmosphere is fun, and our patriotism is front and center. You'll enjoy the large menu that includes hand-cut Black Angus steak, hand-pulled pork, and hand-breaded fried pickles. You'll taste the difference. Also, enjoy our huge drink selection and scenic views both inside and out. We also cater, so call us for your next event. Peabody's, the Great American Grill on Riverside Drive in Clarksville.
We are back with the Grapevine. Hope you've enjoyed the sponsors. Welcome, Peabody's. Go get you some great food. Fletcher, have you ever went to Peabody's? Have you ever eaten that?
By golly, I'm going. After everything I've heard about them.
Well, yeah. And matter of fact, if you go down there, ask them for the Grapevine Special. Anybody ask them for the Grapevine Special, they know what you're going to be getting. So, Fletcher, we've talked a couple of segments about a couple of different things, and I'm sure there's a couple other things we're going to talk about. But before we go very much further, we need to get into what everybody's going to be wondering if we're going to talk about. Talk about the elephant in the room. Yep. You had mentioned that you were a defense attorney for how many years?
Well, 18 years. It's just about 20.
Okay.
18 years.
Yeah. Almost 20 years. Let's round up. And you're no longer practicing law. You are a radio show host.
That's correct.
What happened in the interim?
Well, I came to Clarksville and went into practice with someone, and over the course of the conduction of that practice, a client owed us money for services that we had rendered, and it was threatened that we would go get a warrant and have her arrested if she didn't pay us, and the government charged me with extortion, and we tried it to a jury. The jury was out a really, really, really long time and came back and convicted me of extortion, which is a felony. From that day forward, I've been in radio. Channel 2 ran a story, said I was nudged into radio. Well, that's how I was
nudged by the government.
And Clarksville.com says I've been sentenced to a lifetime of AM, which I thought both those were pretty funny. But I have my own opinion about the situation. I don't feel like that I broke the law, but the jury convicted me, and so I am where I am. I could cry about it. But instead, it doesn't do anything. I use my radio show to try to fix problems in the justice system that I encountered as a lawyer. I use it to let people who've been wrongly accused, for instance, come on my show and tell their story. I tell guests that I want to celebrate their story. I really don't want to focus too much on mine because I don't feel like that's an appropriate use of the forum that the radio station has given me.
All right. Now, you were a lawyer, and in doing research, we find a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of opinions, a whole bunch of thoughts about Fletcher Long. And my mother told me a long time ago that opinions are like certain parts of your body. Everybody has one, and they usually stick. And you've made it well known to the Grapevine fans that you are a champion for black people, for those not treated correctly, those that don't get the same services that the wealthy may get, as long as they can take care of their bills. But that being said, there have been comments where Fletcher Long is a racist, Fletcher Long is a sexist, Fletcher Long is...
Well, let me interrupt you there. That case was a former employee of mine that went to Channel 4 with text messages that she had fabricated. So those text messages were iPhone messages. They said they were iMessages. I, at the time, had a Droid. Didn't even have an iPhone. Now, the part of the news nobody reports. We went and subpoenaed my phone records, and my phone records definitively show that I never authored any of those text messages. I never sent her any text messages. That was absolutely false, and those charges were dismissed.
Why doesn't that get the fanfare as the...
It's not good news copy. It's better news copy. I'm a public figure, and I am a celebrity, and it's better news copy to say those things about me. It sells more papers.
Wow. So you're more famous when something negative is being said. Do you think that that's just Fletcher Long, or is that Joe Public?
No, it's not Joe Public, because if that had been said about somebody that wasn't a celebrity, it wouldn't have gotten any press at all.
All right. Now, you've covered a bunch of famous trials. We talked about Perry March. You were involved in the...
Well, I've tried
a
lot of famous trials. I don't know if that counts as coverage.
No.
I was a player.
Okay, I didn't know about... I thought I'd said been involved, and
Right, no.
But okay, you tried.
I cover trials now because I'm kind of a member of the press now, or a member of the media.
So semantics.
Right.
Okay.
Now, I once was in the game, Coach. I wasn't a referee or or a
You weren't the
news
water
player.
boy.
I was the Michael Jordan with the jump shot. I wasn't the guy reporting about the game.
So now you can say the worm has turned, maybe.
The worm has turned. Yeah, maybe I got too long in the tooth to do that anymore. I can tell you at the end that giving up my law license was easy. If the system was working the way in which it was working, I didn't want to be a part of it because there wasn't any intellectual honesty in the system.
So what's the solution?
Well, the solution, I think, is the long version. I think that if they'll listen to the show, for instance, we hear the presumption of innocence. Now, seriously, guys, do you really think that people are presumed innocent?
Of course.
When you see someone charged in the newspaper and its headlines, don't you think, well, that guy did it?
Well, yeah, especially when you look at the mugshots and it's the mean grimace because they're mad and you did something evil. So, yeah, of course.
Didn't you think when you did that research and saw those text messages that I had sent those?
That's why I pulled it off, because I was like, wow,
be honest, you thought I'd sent them.
No, I didn't think that. I didn't think that because I had previously been on your show. I had met you. So that's why when I saw this one, I printed off. I was like, whoa, no, that's not the... So I said that I wanted, you said everything was up. And that's why I said, this is what was on the internet.
Well, I know, but Damon, it's okay that you thought that. But, a warrant is only as good as the affiant who swears to it. If I walk in today, and if they choose to believe me, they probably wouldn't believe it because it was I, but if I walked in today and raised my right hand and was willing to swear that Damon Jennings had committed a crime against me, they would issue a warrant. That's the system we have. All they had to do to not arrest me for this ridiculous text message stuff that I never did, all they had to do was say, hand me your phone. Let me see your phone. What's terrible about these text messages is that they weren't legitimate business records. They didn't even pass the eye test. My 17-year-old daughter, when she watched the news coverage on Channel 4, said, Dad, you didn't do this. I said, honey, I'm your father. You're supposed to think that. Thank you. I love you. But you're hardly impartial. She said, no, Daddy. She said, you have a droid. She said, when a droid makes a different color field when it converses with an iPhone than an iPhone to iPhone. She said, look, they all say iMessages. iMessages. That's two iPhones. You don't even own an iPhone. When my attorney stood up in court and said, give me the phone number from where these messages emanated, her attorney said, we need a week to comply with that request.
Oh.
Why do they need a week? Do you not know my phone number? Pull your phone out and look. We're here. We'll wait.
Right. Most definitely.
Call me. I got it.
But the judge gave her a week. And after a week, she still came up with my phone number that I still have today.
So you have a defense attorney in the works, huh? You have a young lady being a defense attorney?
Well, she darn sure knows a lot about texting. I mean, she's a teenage girl. She cracked this case wide open from the television screen.
That's awesome. That's sort of a My Cousin Benny moment.
So based off what you're saying now, there's no way to go back and where this case that's already been tried can be irreversible. Can be reversed.
No, I'm done. I'm going to be a radio guy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I understand that. I was just wondering if...
There's nothing... Well, let me tell you this. Look, the justice system isn't perfect. We convicted Jesus Christ of a capital crime. Did he do it? We convicted every single martyr in Christendom of a capital offense. That's why they were martyred. Did they do it? You're telling me a human court can't be wrong?
Yeah.
We convicted the Son of God.
Yeah.
Now, the Grapevine's audience is going to ask, are you putting yourself on the same plane as Jesus?
Oh, absolutely not. Nobody is on the same plane as Jesus. But I was not convicted of near as bad of an offense.
No, you weren't.
And what really was his offense? Break that down. What was his offense? He was a dissident against governmental rule, and the government didn't like it.
There you have it.
So since...
Well, I don't want to go over into my theologian logical background, but I do want to ask now. For the most part, as a defense lawyer, you were normally on the other side of the fence. In fact, you.
Oh, I've never worked for the government. I've never worked for the government. I was always on the other side of the fence.
Right. So you were always on the other
Right.
side of the fence, but on this particular case, you were the one that had someone to represent you.
Right. Well, I had been a defendant before. I mean, they indicted me about every 4 to 6 years. I got indicted in Springfield, and I was acquitted. That's why you didn't find anything in your internet research. You might have found, you shouldn't have found anything because my record was expunged and I was acquitted. This wasn't the first time the government had come after me, and it wasn't going to be the last. My wife looked at me halfway through the trial and said, "Win or lose, you're done practicing law because I can't do this anymore."
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is what, Clarence Darrow got indicted 3 times. He is the greatest lawyer in the history of this country.
Yes.
The 3rd time that California indicted him, they banished him from the state. And Tennessee would have loved to have done that to me, but they don't have that penalty anymore.
Now, you were a defense attorney for a very long time. You've seen the government, how they work, how they make deals. You fought for guys that have had a bunch of serious charges levied against them. Do you feel like working with the minorities, people who need help against the government? Would you stand up? Would you maybe open an office to say, "Hey, if you need some assistance in defense, come see me. We'll talk about blah, blah, blah."
Well, I really can't do that because I'm not permitted, being presently unlicensed, to practice law, and I'm never going to be licensed, so I can't practice law. And really, the prima facie elements of law practice is giving people advice in legal disputes in trying to protect their rights. That is what is law practice. It's not selling snickerdoodles. I mean, that's what it is. And so I really can't do that. Now, obviously, friends of mine call me up for my opinion of things, and I'm still a doctor of jurisprudence, so I give them my opinion of things. And I'm permitted to do that as a United States citizen. They didn't take away my right of free expression.
Now, if I need a defense, if I have a defense against a crime, could my defense team hire Fletcher Long to be a consult or a specialist in the trial?
I get consulted with by law firms that have trials upcoming on issues about jury selection. I get consulted with sometimes in the motion practice phase where they want to know what motions would I have filed, and I always help them. Sometimes I'm paid for that. Most of the times I'm not, but I help them regardless.
Well, that's great. That's great. So we're going to have your information up about the show. Once again, tell them the name of the show, how to find you, everything about how to get a hold of Fletcher Long.
Well, the long version on WJCM, you can go to WJCM.com and listen to AM 1400. It's 9 to 11, Monday through Friday.
All right, we're going to have that information up there, and we certainly appreciate you spending some time with us. Hope you've had some fun. We hope you've enjoyed it, Grapevine audience. Hope we've educated you. Hope we've entertained you. One quick question before we go. I meant to ask this before. You notice that when black people get pulled over, they don't get the same treatment necessarily as white people. If a young black person gets pulled over by a police officer here in Montgomery County, what's the best course of action? Or anybody that feels like they got pulled over for the wrong, what's the best course of action?
Alan Dershowitz, who teaches criminal law at Harvard National, says this. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, deal with life.
That's very simple.
Short, sweet,
Don't get bucked. Don't try to express your rights if you don't know them. Yes, sir. No, sir. We'll deal with it in the court.
And even if you know your rights, don't come off as arrogant or a know-it-all, because a lot of times, this is my own personal opinion.
that can make it go
Yeah,
worse.
it leads to an escalation by the police officer because he's like, okay, you want to be a smarty pants, now let's go.
Now, I want to be clear, that doesn't mean you should give them permission to search your car, because you shouldn't. You should always opt for the hard way. Make them go apply for a warrant if they believe they have probable cause to get one. But people ride in your car, they sit in the back seat. If you've ever cleaned your car out and found something that you had no idea how it got there, that is why you don't let them search. Because if they find something illegal and it's yours, they're not going to want to hear that you don't know how it got there. So don't let them search. You can't be confident. If you're borrowing a car, have you ever borrowed a car, David?
Yes,
Did
I
you
have.
look in the glove box? Did you look in the wheel casings? Did you look under the seats? Did you search under the floor mats?
Have
You
my dog
could-
searching.
you could have been ponying up or muling any number of things you didn't even know about. You were just borrowing the car. So don't ever agree to a search of your home, house, or person. Make them do it.
Well, there you have it. A couple of great defense tips from a great defense attorney. Former defense attorney, now radio expert. And you can find his show on WJZM, WJZM.com, and all the other places we're going to show you. Alrighty, again, thanks for checking the Grapevine. Hopefully we edutained you. We've had some entertainment, a bunch of legal education, and hopefully we're going to see more of Fletcher Long. Go check out Peabody's. Thank you again. We'll see you next time from the Grapevine.
The Grapevine.
The Grapevine.
The grapevine. The
The
grapevine.
Grapevine.
Are we ready? Okay. Hello, I am formerly. Hello, you may remember me as legendary boxer Jack Johnson, Dempsey, Marciano, Ali. And I want you to be in shape like I am. So if you want to be in shape like I am in shape, then you need to come to the gym, the Jack Johnson, Marciano, Dempsey, Ali Gym. We are over on Main Street, and you can work out and be in shape like me by coming to work out with me at our gym, the Jack Johnson, Dempsey, Marciano, Ali Gym on Main Street. I can take you to look like me in no time at all. Jack Johnson, Dempsey, Marciano, Ali Gym. You come see us and we will make you strong. Ding, ding.